I gotta tell you, one of the things that's damaged my spiritual growth just about as much as anything I can think of is the pursuit of being comfortable. And I know this is kind of like the American pursuit, right? We want to make just enough money and have just the right car and the right girlfriend or the right amount of kids and the right house. We just want to get to that spot where we're comfortable and we can kind of just hit cruise control and go through life with very little turbulence. And we act like this is the goal. This is where we're trying to get, as though anybody really gets there, because we know that they don't. But it's tempting. It's tempting because that just seems like such a nice way to live. And so even in my own Christian walk, I will put things in my life that are just familiar and comfortable. And oftentimes God will seek to interrupt that familiarity and that comfortability in my life. He doesn't do that just to be a pain in the butt. He does that so that he might get my attention, because I end up making idols out of those things. I end up becoming distracted by those things that bring comfort and familiarity. And I thought about that as I read the passage from last week's sermon, just in the very beginning in verse 23 of chapter 8 there. He says, he took the blind man by the hand and he led him out of the village. And you think about it, man, this guy's blind. He probably spent all of his time in this village. We know that's not where his home is, but him being in his home wasn't going to feed him, wasn't going to get him anything to drink. He had to be at where people were. His life was a life of begging. He was a beggar. He depended on begging. It was the only way for him to feed himself and to take care of himself. And so he would have been extremely familiar. And being blind, my goodness, I mean, when we're blind, familiarity is all we have. We absolutely depend on that familiarity. And how often does God just take us and rip us right out of that familiarity? But where does he take him? He pulls him out. It says he let him out of the village, and when he takes him, and now it's just him and Jesus. He takes him out of what is familiar, so that the man now becomes, he doesn't know how to get around on his own. He doesn't know how to do anything on his own. He is at that moment and point fully dependent on Jesus, and Jesus has his absolute, complete attention. There's nothing else for this guy to do but to lean in fully and completely and wholly on him, on Jesus. So, man, take a look at your life. I take a look at my life, and am I hanging on to things that Jesus is trying to lead me from? Are there familiarities in my life? Routines? One of the toughest things for me, I'd work a hard, long day at work. I'd get up early in the morning, and I'd do great with the quiet time, and I would serve others, but I'd be working hard. I had a physical job. One of the things I loved more than anything was just to come home and sit on the couch. When the day was done, just come home and just plop on the couch, and I'd get lost in television. And that became like my familiarity. That was my village, if you will. And it became distracting. It was like then all of a sudden I started to do my day just to get to that point, just to get to the couch, man. I'll live all of this, man, but I have the couch as the goal. I wasn't living for Christ. I wasn't living to glorify. I was trying to avoid being asked to do things that were going to interrupt that being able to come home into my sanctuary, if you will, my comfort zone, my village. And God was constantly trying to lead me out of that, challenging me in other ways to be able to pull me out of that comfort zone, that I might have more reliance on him and give him more of my attention. So maybe you're just like I am. Maybe you've got your village and it's the thing that brings you comfort. But that's the very thing that's also going to continue to keep you blind. In any area in your life that you can't see, that you're not making any headway in, chances are that village that you have, that comfort, that familiarity, is playing into it. And that we need to be sensitive to where Jesus is taking us by the hand and leading us out of our village, that he might have our full dependence and attention.